Team Linda Mwananchi member has been suspended from the National Assembly. Welcome to Kenya Lens Media, where we give you news updates as they break, and kindly if you are new here, consider subscribing. Now, the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has expelled Kitutu Chache South MP Anthony Kagendi from parliamentary proceedings after accusing the lawmaker of making reckless and damaging remarks about the integrity of parliament. In a firm ruling delivered on Tuesday, February 17th, Wetangula ordered Kagendi barred from the chamber, committee sittings, and even his parliamentary office until he submits what the speaker termed a properly worded apology. The dramatic move followed Kagendi's televised claims that Parliament had effectively been auctioned to the executive. The decision marks one of the most forceful disciplinary actions taken against a sitting MP in recent months, and has renewed debate about free speech, parliamentary privilege, and also the independence of the Kenya's legislature. The controversy stems from the interview Kagendi gave on Citizen TV, where he alleged that senior parliamentary leaders had undermined the institution's autonomy. During the broadcast, the MP claimed that the Speaker Wetangula, Deputy Speaker Gladys Sholei, and MP Duncan Mathenge had effectively turned Parliament into an appendage of State House. He further asserted that the legislature had been auctioned to the executive, remarks that quickly drew sharp reactions within the National Assembly. Members of Parliament raised the matter on the floor later the same day, urging the Speaker to respond to what they viewed as a serious attack on the dignity of the House. Wetangula moved swiftly, framing the comments as reckless and injurious to the Parliament's reputation. In his ruling, the Speaker delivered a broader caution to MPs about public commentary, particularly in the media. Wetangula stressed that the legislators must exercise restraint and also decorum when speaking publicly, noting that the words carry weight both locally and internationally. He argued that alleging that the House has been auctioned not only undermines the institution but also implicates all its members. The Speaker emphasized that the lawmakers represent 290 constituencies out of Kenya's population of roughly 56 million people, underscoring what he described as their heavy responsibility to protect the dignity of Parliament. He concluded with a firm pledge: as long as he remains the Speaker, he will defend both institution and its members from the reputational harm. The expulsion has immediately raised deeper constitutional and political questions. At the center of the debate is the balance between maintaining parliamentary decorum and protecting the freedom of elected representatives to criticize institutions. Under parliamentary practice, the Speaker has broad authority to enforce order and discipline. However, critics often argue that strong disciplinary actions can appear punitive when directed at a political dissent. Kagendi's comments, while sharply worded, touched on sensitive and recurring theme in the Kenyan politics: the perceived influence of the executive over Parliament. Similar concerns have surfaced periodically across different administrations, reflecting a long-standing tensions within Kenya's governance structure. Supporters of the Speaker's decision say the remarks crossed the line by alleging institutional corruption without formal evidence presented within parliamentary channels. In their view, allowing such statements to stand unchallenged could erode public trust in the legislature. Others, however, may interpret the move as a signal of shrinking tolerance for internal criticism, especially when voiced in the media rather than on the parliamentary floor. Claims that Parliament is too closely assigned with the executive strike at the heart of Kenya's constitutional design. The 2010 Constitution envisioned a strong, independent legislature capable of checking executive power. In recent years, political analysts also have repeatedly examined voting patterns in the National Assembly, noting moments when the House has overwhelmingly supported government positions. While such outcomes are common in many democracies where ruling coalitions hold majorities, critics sometimes interpret them as signs of weakened institutional independence. Kagendi's remarks appeared to tap into this broader public conversation by alleging that the parliament had been reduced to appendage of State House. He echoed concerns occasionally voiced by civil society groups and opposition figures. Wetangula's response, however, signals a firm institutional pushback against what the speaker viewed as unsubstantiated public attacks. The Speaker's directive has practical consequence for the Kitutu Chache South legislator until he issues an apology accepted to the clerk and the House leadership. Kagendi remains locked out of plenary sittings, committee meetings, the parliamentary precincts, and also his parliamentary office. Such exclusion can significantly limit an MP's ability to represent constituents, participate in legislation, and influence committee work. The duration of the suspension now depends entirely on whether and how quickly Kagendi submits the demanded apology. Wetangula's remarks suggest Parliament may be entering a period of tighter scrutiny over lawmakers' public statements, and his warnings that the whole world is watching reflects growing concern within legislative leadership about reputational risks in the age of instant media amplification. Kenya's MPs today operate in a highly visible environment where television appearances, social media posts, and also live-streamed debates can rapidly shape public opinion. Parliamentary leaders have increasingly emphasized message discipline and institutional respect. Political observers note that the tensions between outspoken legislators and also parliamentary leadership are not new. However, the speed and severity of the current response may signal a more assertive approach to the enforcing decorum. Kenya's political history provides important context for the current dispute, and for decades, critics have periodically questioned whether Parliament exercises sufficient independence from the executive. Before the 2010 constitutional reforms, the presidency wielded especially strong influence over legislative processes, and the new constitutional framework sought to strengthen separation of powers, enhance committee oversight, and empower the members of Parliament. So, despite these reforms, debates over parliamentary autonomy have persisted across multiple administrations. Voting alignments and also party discipline and the coalition politics often shape perceptions of independence. Kagendi's comments appear to reflect this long-running national conversation over the Speaker's the Speaker insists that such claims must be made responsibly and through proper channels. Attention now turns to Kagendi's next move. If he issues the required apology, he could be reinstated relatively quickly. If he insists and resists, then the standoff could escalate into a broader political dispute. The incident may also influence how other MPs approach media interviews, particularly when discussing internal parliamentary matters. For the Speaker, the ruling reinforces his stated commitment to defending the institution's image, and for critics, it may raise fresh questions about how far parliamentary authority should extend in policing political speech. The confrontation between Wetangula and Kagendi goes beyond a single disciplinary action. It highlights a deeper tension within Kenya's democratic system, the need to protect Parliament's institutional dignity while preserving robust political debate. And if MPs feel constrained from publicly criticizing the legislature, oversight and accountability debates could shift behind closed doors. Conversely, if unverified allegations against Parliament circulate freely, public confidence in democratic institutions could be eroded. The episode therefore sits at the intersection of parliamentary discipline, freedom of expression, and also institutional trust. Ultimately, the outcome and Kagendi's response will signal how Kenya's National Assembly intends to navigate criticism in an era of intense media scrutiny. For a legislature tasked with representing millions of citizens, the balance it strikes may shape public confidence in Parliament for years to come. That is all for today from Kenya Lens Media. Kindly, if you are new here, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as a way of supporting us and also helping us grow.